Hi, my name's Jose Perez. I'm in the physics department here at UNT. I got interested in science and physics in particular because I was always very interested in how things worked. I was always curious about how electronic equipment worked, for example. I remember as a little kid, just 5, 6 years old, I would take broken extension cords with plugs at the end and just stick them into different things like a box of something, and I thought that it would magically work. Just like you plug something in and you can turn it on and it does something magical, I thought all you needed to do was just simply put a plug into anything and it would start to do something magical. And I've always been very interested, as I said, on how things worked. And I also like science fiction movies a lot. And after watching science fiction movies, I would just scrounge around and try and build my own sort of laboratory, like Dr. Frankenstein, and just see what I could do. I remember when I was in high school, I didn't know what I would do. I thought I would probably just go to business school, etc. And then I took a physics class, and I was so interested by it, in particular how you can mathematically describe the motion of particles. For example, the motion of baseballs, the motion of objects that you throw are actually not different each time you throw them. They're actually exactly the same each time you throw them. And they follow a very precise mathematical form, which near the surface of the Earth is a parabola. And having played a lot of baseball, I kind of knew how to catch objects, so I had a pretty good intuitive idea of how objects moved near the surface of the Earth. And when I took this physics class, I was really surprised and just amazed that all of these motions were just parabolas, and you could predict how long it would take an object to go from point A to point B. For example, a baseball, you could mathematically predict its path. And somehow I figured intuitively, your mind must intuitively grasp this, and that's what enables you to catch an object, which, if you think about it, is a very complicated thing. And so after taking this physics class in high school, I decided, well, for the rest of my life, I could be doing something that is really amazing and I find just absolutely fascinating. And so it'd be crazy to go to business school. I will just go into physics and become a physicist. And so that's what I did. I went to college and I got my bachelor's degree in physics. Then I went to graduate school and I got my PhD in physics. And all the time, I really, really enjoyed being in the lab. Essentially, I've never really had a terrible time ever since. So I'm really happy that I made this decision a long, long time ago. And for you students who are looking for careers to go into and are exploring science, what I would recommend to you in regards as to whether or not you want to enter a science field such as physics or engineering or any science or math field is really if it really deep down motivates you and if you find it interesting. Having known a lot of other students, not just science majors, I found that people typically end up doing in life what they really, really enjoyed most as they were growing up. And so in my case, that's certainly true. I enjoyed being Dr. Frankenstein in my own laboratory, setting fire accidentally to the desk in my house and things like that. And that's what I ended up doing, not setting fires in the lab, of course, but just doing experiments in the lab. And I found that other friends of mine, whatever it was they found interesting, whether it would be a science field or not, that's typically what you end up doing later on in life. And so if you really enjoy science and you have kind of a deep interest in it, and you think about it all the time, then I would say that it would be in your interest to explore whether or not it's a good thing for you. In terms of what a career in science is like, it could be very exciting. I've had many students, graduate students and undergraduate students who have had very rewarding careers in science. I've been here almost 30 years now, so I've seen many of these students graduate, go on and get jobs in academia and in industry and do very, very well. I've had students in industry who have risen up the ranks and are very successful. And also students in academia who have gone on to become professors and are very successful at what they do. And so science offers a very challenging and rewarding venue for a career. And so you shouldn't worry about, not having a viable job if you major in physics or engineering or one of the sciences. Our society today is very technology driven, and so that means that there are many, many opportunities there. I'm sure one of your main concerns right now is what are you going to be doing in 10, 15, 20 years? How are you going to be making a living? And science has a lot of opportunities for you where you can make, essentially, as they say, a reasonable amount of money, and you can have, a reasonable, comfortable lifestyle, so to speak. And at the same time, you'll be doing something that you really, really enjoy. I often think that I've never really worked a day in my life since I've had so much fun these past 30 years working in the lab and teaching students. And so I hope that if you do have some interest in science, you won't hesitate to consider it your career, and at least give it a try to see if you like it. It's not always easy, especially at the beginning, but I think it's if you do have an interest, it would be to your advantage to explore it further. Many of the obstacles you may run into is just the amount of time it takes, and learning new material. Working in the lab, you have to learn about different techniques, different equipment, and that might be overwhelming at first. You have to learn new topics, some of which are not easy. You have to kind of spend a lot of time studying and learning new information. And then always lab work can be very long, but if you really enjoy it, it's not that long at all. It's just is a very interesting and rewarding thing rather than a tedious thing. But mainly, some of the main obstacles that students find is just the amount of time maybe that it takes and not knowing too much about the field. But these things really are not that significant in the long run if you just have a good attitude towards learning and you enjoy learning. If you have those two things, mainly enjoying learning, all of these obstacles, I think, are not very significant. And so I do hope that if you do have just an inkling of interest in science, you will explore this interest further and take some science classes, maybe in particular some physics classes if you like physics type things, and maybe take a few lab classes and maybe some research special problems with some professors, so you can work in their labs and get firsthand experience working in the lab. I hope you'll explore these possibilities, and I hope that you do find it interesting and you do continue on and have a career in science. Anyway, thanks for hearing my story, and good luck.